Hi, this is Mike Power, President and CEO of Silver Range Resources, and this is an update on our Cold Springs property. First, a word from our lawyers. Cold Springs is about 50 miles east of Fallon, near Cold Springs Station on Highway 50. It's readily accessible by road. The property consists of 19 claims on BLM land with no surface impairment. Cold Springs is located south of the North Nevada Rift, on the margins of an Oligocene caldera complex associated with the mid-tertiary ignimbrite flare-up. Cold Springs is on the northwest margin of the volcanic complex, in an area where there are numerous low sulfidation epithermal gold showings. The property area is underlain by rhyodicitic tuffs and flows. To date, all of the action at Cold Springs has been centered on this hill, which adjoins Cold Springs Valley to the west. The geology on the property consists of a sequence of west to southwest dipping volcaniclastic rocks, bounded on the west by a range front normal fault. The rocks grade from a crystal tuff at the base through a lithic crystal tuff to a capping tuff breccia. This breccia is very distinct. It's maroon in color, and it's the host for most of the gold mineralization at Cold Springs. The tuff breccia is in turn cut by a series of cataclasites. These are classic fault rocks and locally have slick and sided surfaces within them. These appear to be primary features, perhaps generated in a hot slumping volcanic pile. Superimposed on the volcaniclastic rocks and well exposed on the top of the hill is a two-stage silicification event. An initial quartz flooding followed by a series of large low sulfidation quartz chalcedony veins. Initial hydrothermal activity consisted of silica flooding with the introduction of quartz veinlets spaced in the order of centimeters apart and silica flooding of the matrix. Low-grade gold was introduced during this event. This was followed by cross-cutting quartz chalcedony veins. These are up to 70 meters long and 2 meters wide. There are 4 major veins on the property. They all dip moderately to the west, and high-grade gold and silver is associated with these veins. The second stage quartz chalcedony veins show classic low sulfidation epithermal vein textures, including bladed quartz after calcite, ginguro bands, brecciated and annealed rock, and local clots of high-grade pyrite and silver sulfides and sulfosalts. This plot shows the results of surface sampling between 2016 and 2018. These are mostly grab samples. Best results to date have been 20.1 grams from the number 4 vein on the top of the hill. But as you can see, there's widespread high-grade gold throughout here. The highest gold numbers are associated with the second stage quartz chalcedony veins, but there's lower grade gold associated with the first phase of silica flooding. There's high-grade silver associated with the gold. Once again, we're looking at 2016 and 2018 grab and chip sample results. To date, our best results have been 1,770 grams silver from the number 4 vein, but most of the samples collected on the property return better than 30 grams per ton silver. So we think we're dealing with a classic low sulfidation epithermal system at Cold Springs and believe we're at about the mid-level of the system based on the presence of bladed quartz, the high silver to gold ratio, and the presence of sulfosalts. Cold Springs was discovered about 1906, and there have been several episodes of high grading since then. Documented underground workings on the property consist of about 2,000 feet of drifting, mostly on the number 3 vein here and the number 2 vein here. There's about 400 feet of shaft sinking, notably this at least 100-foot deep shaft here west of the rangefront fault, and some cat trenching and open pit excavation. Most of it over here, once again, looking for mineralization in the hanging wall of the rangefront fault. There have been 4 rounds of drilling on the property. Phelps Dodge started things off in 1981 with 8 holes. I'm just showing drill hole collars here because virtually all of these holes are vertical. Their best result was in the southeast corner of the property. Asarco drilled another 8 holes in 1983 with best results on the top of the hill, and this has proved to be the best drill hole on the property to date. The WX Syndicate drilled 26 holes in 1987 and 88, and the principal result of their work was to define a large area of low-grade mineralization. This is stage 1 quartz veinlet style mineralization, running about 0.1 grams and 2.8 grams silver. Finally, in 2006 and 7, Northern Abitibi Mining ran CSAMT surveys over the hill and drilled 5 holes. These were deeper holes. However, their principal intersection, the only significant one, was a shallow intersection in this hole in the northeast corner of the property. When you stand back and look at all of the drill results to date, something interesting falls out. We're looking at a block model here of topography and drill holes from 1981 through 2007 with gold results shown in the red bars. These are all gold results greater than 0.2 grams per ton. We've suppressed the low-grade stuff. The interesting thing you see in this diagram is that all of the gold hits have been shallow. There's no evidence of any feeder system or deeper mineralization beneath the mineralization exposed on the hill at Cold Springs. If you put the geology and the drill results together, you can come up with the following target concept. Let's look at a cross-section from southwest to northeast through the known geology. We have a west to southwest moderately dipping volcaniclastic sequence. Superimposed on that are west dipping quartz veins and pervasive silicification. We know from the drilling there's a bottom to this system, and there are no deep vertical feeders to the mineralization that's found on top of the hill. Furthermore, the west dipping veins can't be the primary source of the mineralization. They have to be fed through from some steeply dipping veins, likely off to the west. So our concept is there's probably a down-dropped low sulfidation epithermal source off to the west beneath Cold Springs Valley. To test this idea, we ran a 3-dimensional IP and resistivity survey at Cold Springs this fall. Here's the grid layout. You can see that what we were focusing on is the area to the west of the range front fault in the hanging wall, where we think there might be a down-dropped low sulfidation epithermal system. Let's have a look at the survey results. This is a block model of the apparent resistivity 3D inversion. You can see the IP survey grid here. Here's the hill where all the mineralization is located. You can see some of the drill hole collars and traces shown here. Topography is shown underlaying here. The principal result of the IP resistivity survey was the delineation of this region of low apparent resistivity. This is material less than 35 ohm meters, and it has a core of much lower resistivity. This blob has a base at about 200 meters, and that's entirely artificial. That's basically the depth of investigation of the survey. We have no reason to believe this doesn't persist at depth. The top's been truncated about 80 meters. There are just a few cells above it that show up in the inversion. And this is a reasonable estimate as well of the depth to bedrock in the area. So the IP survey delineated this region of low apparent resistivity, about 200 meters west of the range front fault, and in the downdropped area west of the mineralization on Cold Springs Hill. We know the mineralization on Cold Springs Hill dips towards this feature, and we're interpreting this region of low resistivity as a zone of argillic alteration surrounding a possible feeder to all of the epithermal mineralization you see in the Cold Springs area. So Cold Springs is a low sulfidation epithermal system carrying high-grade gold and silver. But the exposed mineralization is only on the periphery of the system. There are no deep feeder veins beneath the exposed mineralization, and all of the veins within the exposed mineralization dip off to the west across a range front fault, and we think that the rest of the system has been down-dropped to the west across the fault. Our resistivity surveys have identified a large compact low about 200 meters west of the range front fault. We believe that this low is a zone of argillic alteration surrounding the deeper feeder to the whole hydrothermal system. Cold Springs is drill ready.